I'm Katie Dean, an entrepreneur and successful business owner. What does it really mean to manage a business effectively? Is it what you learned in business school? The latest and greatest gimmicks online? I'm on a mission to talk to successful entrepreneurs from around the world about the system they've used to boom their businesses in a wide variety of industries. Welcome to EMA Evolutionaries, Success at Work. Michael, thank you so much for being here. You are the mold medic. When did you get started, and what are some of the successes that you've had so far in your business?
And I've been, involved in restoring people's properties for about 10 years now. After seeing how many people were getting sick due to their environment, I realized there was a bigger problem that actually wasn't getting solved. And so at that point, we started creating this business. Was a couple guys, small little company in New Jersey. Fast forwarding today, we're all over the nation. We're even going international.
So you hadn't owned a business before. I love that you started with a small group and you've expanded so much, because obviously I think that's the point for most entrepreneurs. They want to expand. How did you discover Hubbard Management System, and how has it helped you in your business?
My mother actually worked for a gentleman named Quentin Strube a long time ago in New York City, part of the Hubbard Management System. So I kind of was familiar with it. When I personally met Quentin Strube and saw there's something here that would help me expand my business, and so I started applying the technology that they had to offer.
Pretty much right from the get-go, you were using Hubbard Management System.
Oh yeah, within the first year of starting, I started implementing some of the principles in the Hubbard Management System.
Did that help you expand at a steady rate?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, I would say, first couple of months I did what everybody does. I just started, and I realized that, that's the hard way to do things.
Yeah.
The easier way is to actually understand that there's 7 different divisions of a company, and that even when you're 2 or 3 people that are managing these 7 divisions, a lot of that stuff gets missed. It kind of prevents you from expanding at a rapid rate because you're so dealing with problems all the time. So once I started really laying that foundation, I started to see things expand pretty quickly.
When you're expanding a business, you obviously need to grow your team. When you interview people, it can be hard to judge, okay, is this person really the right person for this hat or this post? And I think that sometimes business owners, I'm a small business owner myself, get scared off by like, oh, I don't want to invest all this time and energy into this person and then have them, leave my company or not do well and then I have to fire them. Have you found that the Hubbard Management System has helped you to not only hire, but also train these people and then keep them on board so that you can expand further?
Absolutely. So we do a lot of personality tests, we do IQ and aptitude tests, and that helps us identify, is this person really capable of growing with us? There were days before we used that I can recall back where we hired somebody and within 2 weeks we had to either terminate them or they quit, and I think hiring people is one of the most important parts of the puzzle.
Have you tried other organizational systems? What's your comparison between the Hubbard Management System and other systems that you've tried?
I'm always trying stuff, and I think when it comes down to it, the Hubbard Management System really has the best foundation. Anytime I stray off the beaten path, I notice that there's more problems that arise, things don't get harder instead of easier.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about the next phase in your business and the next book that you're writing, and how has the Hubbard Management System helped you to be able to plan big?
For those that don't know, I wrote a book called The Mold Medic that's been out since December of 2020. Probably about 75% through writing my second book. And then of course we have this company that's rapidly expanding, went nationwide about 2 years ago. Now it's going global by the fourth quarter this year. So it's very exciting. The Hubbard Management System helps lay a foundation. So there's something called an organizational chart. And knowing that chart helps you kind of plot what are the divisions that need to be filled by individuals that can help this organization grow. So that's step 1. Step 2, you need to understand how to measure success. Each division and each person in that division has to have their own measure of success called the key performance indicators that we look at as statistics. And each week those get plotted. And as they're plotted, they actually formulate a graph. The Hubbard Management System, it teaches you how to read these graphs. And as you read the graphs, as you see things coming down, there's actually a formula that you apply to get it back up. And I think, really having that foundation has been so critical and vital, because without it, it's very easy to just fall off. Without having a structure, your phone would be ringing all day long with problems. And so I think that it's really important to get that foundation, get the principles, get all the procedures in place so that everybody understands what they have to do, when they have to do it, and they're educated to doing it the right way. And when that's done, the sky's the limit.
And you are going global. You started in
May of 2017. So we were in New Jersey at that point. We had about 3 men, 1 truck. We did, one job at a time. In 2019, we opened up in Florida, in the Clearwater area. And then in 2020, we actually opened up in California as our third location. And for us, the way our business is structured, we do a lot of traveling. So we're gonna be opening up strategic warehouse locations to help us expand in the US, and then we're gonna start pivoting abroad.
That's a really steady growth. That's a testament to having the foundation laid so that you can continue expanding and not be like running around like crazy, which I think a lot of businesses do. There's 1 or 2 people or executives that end up doing the bulk of the work, and at some point they burn out. So do you feel burnout?
No, I have plenty of room to grow here. I feel very at ease with what's going on. As a business owner, you'll always have problems, so I want to make that abundantly clear. It's how you solve those problems that really determine the success of the organization. So that's why having a good foundation is so vital, because without it, you're going to feel like you're always dealing with problems and don't have a solution for them.
What do you feel like the role of an entrepreneur and business owner is in society? Do you feel like there's an obligation to help others?
My mission is to help over 100 million people by the year 2030 through the technology, products, and services that we have. We're actually repairing people's environments so they can move on from chronic illness caused by this suspension in their environment. And what we're doing as pioneers in this industry really hasn't been done before. There's been an industry in existence before us, however, the industry was focused on something completely different. We're actually health focused. We've really become the first healthcare-based construction company on the planet. For any entrepreneur, what you really want to do is find something that is wrong and see if you can help society fix it.
Your dad was in construction.
Yep. I was working with my father on job sites. My dad started his own company when I was 5 as a general contractor, primarily focusing on restoration of homes. So I got to see construction pretty much growing up my entire life. And as I got older and I started seeing people getting sick, that's when I started to become passionate about doing what I do today. So we're talking about 2013. I was estimating projects for my father and my father's company. I'm knocking on doors, I'm greeting people, I'm getting to know them, getting an understanding of why we're there in the first place, really. And I started to notice this pattern of people not feeling well. They were giving me lab reports and saying, I want this fixed. And so I started studying and understanding what this all meant. But this pattern grew and grew. It wasn't just like here or there. It was like every home I was going to, they were complaining about something. And I started to connect these dots and realize that there's this whole realm of microbiology that can be in people's homes. And this exposure to these microbiological contaminants can cause harm. I realized that the industry that was invented to tackle this problem was looking at it from a cosmetic standpoint, not from a scientific standpoint. And I started to realize, well, this is why people are getting sick even after they hired a competitor.
Were these people that were coming to your dad to get the renovations done, were they doing the renovations because their health was declining?
They were calling the company because their health was declining. Their doctor was telling them that it was probably something inside their home that was making them sick. And so they were just Googling, I guess, a construction company that specialized in restoration to help them. Back in 2013, the restoration principles really were meant for insurance companies and fixing things cosmetically, and they really never went far enough with the underlying science to actually understand how to clean up these particles and these toxins that are created by these sources. And so as I'm coming to people's homes, I started asking them, what symptoms are you experiencing? What are you going through? Tell me about why you called this in the first place. Because I wanted to get down to the root cause of what was actually happening.
You innately were using some of the Hubbard Management System already because you were serving. And this is a huge part of the administrative technology, is surveying, finding out what is actually happening here. What do people need? What do they want? Because a lot of businesses think, oh, I wanted this, so other people will want it. But you did a lot of like the groundwork from the beginning, just naturally finding out like what's happening here, what's the scene, you know?
By surveying people as I'm going to their homes, we actually started becoming the first company to ever advertise to individuals that we can handle these environmental exposures for people's health. Previous to that, the industry was scared and didn't want to confront this whole health situation that arose out of this because many people didn't actually understand the science behind what they were doing.
What is the timeline typically of you going to the home, doing all the tests and everything, handling it, and then them moving back in, let's say?
So we're developing one of the first at-home test kits that's going to be able to test a variety of functions, understanding the dust in their environment. You'll actually be able to analyze the dust utilizing PCR and DNA technology to understand, is there mold, is there bacteria, is there toxins? And from that point, we can then recommend them to go to an inspector and say, these are the things we need to find where they're coming from. I would say that timeline is about a week of getting the initial results, probably another week of getting an inspection. By week 3, they have everything they need to get us to understand what's going on with their home so we can put a plan together to fix it. There are standards. One of the biggest standards is called the IICRC. As an example, the S520 as it relates to mold remediation. And it's a great standard. However, I feel that it needs to go a little further when we're dealing with somebody's health. I start with 2 principles that I realize that most people overlook. You have the actual organism, the mold or bacteria as an organism, and then you have the particles and the toxins that that organism creates. So it's a 2-part process. You need to remove the organism and clean up the particles that that organism creates. People would get remediation done previous to our company, but they would still feel that it was there. And it's because the particles that were impacting them still were there.
It seems very technical what you do. How did you even learn about that stuff?
I did take a 3-day class, but of course that 3-day class is not nearly enough to learn all there is to know. So I had to go out and research on my own. I bought many books on the subject. I started researching more into the field of microbiology, understanding the difference between organism and particles. I had to utilize something like the Hubbard Management System to understand misunderstood words. In microbiology, there's all these large technical words.
Totally.
And if I didn't look up what each one of them meant, I would have never been able to fully handle what I'm trying to handle in this field. That was really instrumental to learning this so that I could actually understand and apply it in the field that I'm working in.
So you really created this whole procedure from your own experience and some of the research that you did, and you discovered this process that works.
There was a lot of trial and error in that, but through that came, of course, the process that we use standardly.
Do you have a statistic of the number of homes that you've helped and actually succeeded in remediating fully?
We've helped over 1,000 people to date get back into their homes and start the healing process after they've been chronically ill due to environmental exposures. My goal is to help over 100 million people by the year 2030. And we have everything in place, the foundation is set to be able to achieve that goal.
Has the Hubbard Management System helped you name the goal, and then does it help you to actually compartmentalize and figure out this is how we're going to reach that goal?
We create battle plans, as we call them.
Okay.
And these battle plans are strategic plans in order to create these products and services that need to reach that goal, you have to create a big effect. And in order to create a big effect, you have to have a strategy. So helping strategize to be able to reach that goal is a key component. One of the things that we had to look up was, how do we do this overseas? That takes strategic planning, and knowing how to plan strategically was a big help. It just took really having the intention to do it and then figuring out how to do it with that strategy planning and making it happen.
When we spoke earlier, you said that you get referred by doctors. And is that something that you focus on in the business of like making your works well known with doctors so that they know that they can come to you as a solution for their patients?
Absolutely. So we work with over 100 doctors globally. We want them to understand how environmental exposures can impact their clients. As we started educating doctors and giving them the scientific tools to be able to identify if these problems are existent for their clients, they certainly have handed clients over us and said, you were right, this is part of the problem. Can you go and help them?
A lot of people that are going to watch this want to know, okay, cool, you're using the Hubbard Management System, but are you profitable?
Profit is important, and a lot of people don't realize that profit actually drives the expansion. You need money in order to expand to these other markets. You need to buy equipment. You need to be able to hire people. Without profitability, you're not going to be able to expand. In our case, that means that we're not going to be able to help 100 million people. And so when I look at that, that is the driving force behind why we need to be profitable and why Hubbard Management System helps us achieve that profitability.
There's a part of the model of admin know-how, which is essentially the steps that you take to apply all of the Hubbard Management System technology, that is the solvency section. You really dive into that, it sounds like.
I mean, if you don't, right, you really don't know how you're profiting. You have to have a system set up where you can actually track profitability. Because if you're not solvent, again, you're not going to reach people. And if you don't reach people, you're not helping them.
Is there one part of the Hubbard Management System that you personally love?
The biggest one is going to be the standard operating procedures that people have heard the word. SOPs as the abbreviation. Essentially what it comes down to is having actual steps. And we have checklists that have to designate each step being completed by every single employee. Having processes and procedures and checklists has been just unbelievable for us.
You're a dad. You have a 3 and a 5-year-old?
3 and a 6-year-old.
You're obviously super, super busy. With the Hubbard Management System, are you able to be a dad and also be the CEO, an author?
I would say yes, and the reason is time management. Utilizing the Hubbard Management System has been instrumental to making sure that I have time. And that structure has been really helpful because not only do I have more free time to spend with my family, but so does all of my employees. And a lot of the reasons people are unhappy at work is they're overwhelmed, it's so demanding of them. So this structure passes down through the entire company so that the entire company can breathe and leave work behind when they finish work for that day.
Do you find that you actually have more freedom because you've implemented organizational technology from the Hubbard Management System?
I only spend about 4 hours per week in actually dealing with the business day-to-day operations. The other 36 hours are all geared towards media, public relations, and research and development. So I am personally involved in creating all the products that we need to help people across the world. And that takes a lot of time. And if I'm stuck in my business running the problems of the business every single day, I won't be creating these products that people need. Having that structure provides you actually more freedom, not the opposite like you may think. The reason that I'm able to do that is because I have the structure in place to give me more time to focus on expansion instead of trying to solve every little problem.
Tell everybody where they can find more information about you.
So I have a podcast. You go to YouTube, The Mold Medic is what you would search for. I've done podcasts on Goop, which is fantastic with Gwyneth Paltrow. I also have a website called themoldmedic.com.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of EMA Evolutionaries. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to be the first to hear about new episodes. And for more information on this series and your local EMA, visit us online at emaevolutionaries.com.